awards that mean anything in the NFL, well, ultimately it's just that one trophy that gets passed out by the commissioner. But even among the individual honors, it's the ones at the end of the season. But then those don't help you fill an episode during the bye week. And therefore, they are of no use to me on the 1st of November. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates that I hope you'll also check out. 5 totally random categories. Just made them all up. I have and do vote for the actual NFL awards at season's end, and I'll take those a whole lot more seriously than this. But hopefully these will be at least a little bit fun as a way to start your day. Most underappreciated player for the Steelers at 6-2 and at the bye week. For each one of these, I'm going to give a runner-up and then the winner, the big winner. Runner-up will be Patrick Queen. You probably thought he'd be the winner. I don't believe that this fan base yet fully understands, A, what Queen's been up against, and B, what Queen's supposed to look like when he's at his best. He is not Hardy Nickerson, Lawrence Timmons, whatever, where tackles are getting funneled his way and he ends up every game with 15, 18, even 20 of them. That's not this. He's supposed to be running the defense. He's supposed to be the quarterback, and he's also supposed to be in coverage and go sideline to sideline. He's getting all of that done. The most underappreciated winner. Wow, this might be for the 4th consecutive year. It's got to be Dan Moore. I have a feeling he could win it again next year, even if he continues to perform at an above average level this season and remains the only guy who's out there for every snap the whole way through as he's been on this O-line. Remember what Mike Tomlin says about the best ability being availability. Most improved. Runner-up here is going to go to Calvin Austin. We're starting to see Cal spread his wings a little bit. I'm not just saying that because of the 73-yard punt return or just in general that he's getting more and more loose on those types of plays. I'm talking about his receiving. I'm talking about just going deep and catching a long touchdown. There was no gimmickry to that. There was no, find a way to squirt through the middle somewhere. It was just, you are a wide receiver. You go out there and catch this pass. Utilize your speed. Make sure you hold on to it. Get 6. That's good stuff from Cal. But the most improved player, some might actually take this as a backhanded compliment. It's not. Najee Harris. I'm talking about just over the last 3 games. I've not seen this player before. Not this season, not in previous seasons. I've not seen him run like this. I've not seen him charge downhill. I've not seen him, the hurdle thing would seem weird when he'd do it in the past. Now when he does it, it looks like, oh yeah, that's what he needed to do to get that first down. The only thing that still needs to get a little bit better where Najee's concerned are those passes out of the flat. For some reason, my goodness, they just don't seem to connect. But his running has been a big, big, big part of what the Steelers have done to date. Most heroic arrival. My runners up will be plural. Deshaun Elliott and Dante Jackson have both been wonderful additions. If I had to choose between those two, I would take Deshaun, but not by much. I don't know that Dante is getting enough kudos for the way he's performed at the opposite corner. Those two have addressed what a lot of us had expressed concern about over the summer, that was going to be an all-new, somewhat unknown secondary. They took care of that, and they did it emphatically. But the most heroic arrival, man, how do you not give it to Corliss Waitman? I mean, when you see Cam Johnston booting these 90-yard punts or whatever that was all summer long and all through preseason, and you realize what a weapon the punter position can be when the job's done at a high level. Johnston goes down. I got to tell you that a lot of people, and Danny Smith was among them, really, really were worried that this was going to affect everything about the special teams. Along comes Waitman, has an excellent and completely unrecognized, like by almost anybody, great showing in Denver. The team welcomed him with open arms. He told me that day in Denver after the game that he felt like he'd been with these guys all along. And yeah, I know he had a previous stint here, but this is different. He's talking about this group. And he's been outstanding. He really has, in every way. Most potential out of the guys who've performed to date this season, and of course I'd be looking at rookies here, my runner-up is going to be Beanie Bishop. And I do hope that the hints that were given off this week on the South Side, that it's Beanie's job to lose as opposed to just being bequeathed to Cam Sutton, who's going to have to get onto the figurative moving train now. I hope that's accurate. I hope the people who said that meant that, because he deserves that. It's not just because of 3 interceptions in the last 2 games. I think it's more because of the way he's addressed a lot of the early frantic nature of his play, where he was looking around trying to figure out what's going on. The most potential that's been shown so far out of any of the rookies, to my mind, has been Peyton Wilson. Listen, he's making mistakes, okay? He's occasionally over pursuing, but he's making mistakes for the right reasons, from the right place in his heart. He's looking to be part of a defense that, and you hear this term all the time from the actual participants, flies to the football. He wants to be one of those. He's hungry to be one of those. Whether it's him or Queen, they're gonna run past somebody. They're gonna run past multiple somebodies. There's going to be times when they need to dial that back. He's learning that. But in the short term, and really looking ahead to the remainder of the season, don't be surprised to start seeing splash out of this kid. There's a lot that he's capable of. And the last one I've got here today is Most Awesome Intangible, which is actually a pretty neat award. Anyone would be happy to win Most Awesome Intangible. My runners up, plural again, I have 3 of them. One is the Mason McCormick effect on the offensive line. I think he's been really uplifting for those guys, and guess what? They do too. Another one is the camaraderie that's almost, to hear them do it, is combative between the DBs. They have, I don't even want to know about what they're doing to compete with each other for who has X number of picks. If they took it to the house, if they didn't take it to the house, then you get demerits. It's a whole system. I'm pretty sure that Joey Porter Jr. is the ringleader, which shouldn't surprise anybody, but I love the way they've bonded on a serious note. And the other runner-up in this category is the defensive line. There's a real restoration of pride to what has always been the foundational center of the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. Everything, including what Chuck Noll did, was built on the defensive line before anything else. I love the way these guys are sticking up for each other. I love the way they believe in each other. I love the fact that Cam Hayward is performing at a very high level. And I love the fact that Keanu Benton is coming along as his potential successor in some way. Number 1, most awesome intangible is the way the 2 quarterbacks have gotten along. Because we have seen the polar opposite of that for a long time now. Ben Roethlisberger didn't get along with his backups all that well, other than Charlie Batch, really. And Charlie almost doesn't count because Charlie's just like the nicest man in the world. And if Charlie's nice to you, it just means you're human. But we saw the friction with Kenny Pickett, not so much Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky, but all the weirdness and back and forth and everything else. Both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields have alternately been put into uncomfortable positions, unprecedented positions for both of them. If you think about Russ's history, and even if you think about Justin's history, never having been anybody's backup. They're there for each other. What you see on the sideline with them smiling and talking to each other, that's legit. They do it all the time. They're inseparable. They're pulling for each other. They're pulling for the team. Do not underestimate that. When we come back, J1Q. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Keith, who says, DK, is there anything in the Steelers culture against renting a player on an expiring contract? Is Omar Khan only shopping for multi-year deals at wide receiver? The culture thing can be excessively inflated at times. There are things that Omar will have picked up in many, many years of working with Kevin Colbert. There are things that Colbert would have picked up from his predecessors and from Art Rooney and from the late Dan Rooney. And it's going to be woven into the fabric of what, everybody does in that building. Right down to the service workers, if you want me to tell it like it is. There's just a Steelers way of doing stuff. But if you're looking for some kind of explanation as to why another wide receiver hasn't been acquired yet, even though the Steelers have been correctly connected to a lot of these conversations regarding a lot of these wide receivers to date, it's that Omar's overriding principle is that he values the draft picks with which he'd have to part. Colbert used to tell a story. He actually shared it with me again recently as if I hadn't heard it before. But you know how that goes. You kind of just sit there and go, yeah, tell me that one again. About how anytime anybody at his table would talk about trading draft picks, he would bring up number 99, Brett Kiesel. He'd look the person in the eye and say, okay, so you think it's okay that we give up a 7th round pick just because, last round, whatever else, might as well be an undrafted free agent? Great. Want to come with me over to the next room and we're going to watch career highlights of the beard. And the conversation naturally would get quashed immediately. And if you're Omar and you're in that room, never mind if you were the guy that suggested it, you get with the program in a big hurry. But I don't sense that here. I don't sense that there's some sort of cultural thing that's keeping him from doing it. I think that there's an inherent way of valuing the path that a team generally takes toward having a strong and deep roster year after year after year. And that, unquestionably, on the Steelers front, has come through the draft. So, if you're listening to someone like me, and I would give out draft picks like candy, which is why I always tell you that I'd make the worst GM ever, you're going to get yourself in trouble. It might not be now, but it'll be a year or two from now. Whereas if the player that you're targeting, whoever that happens to be and whatever the other circumstances might be, if they're worth that pick, you give it up instantly. Minkah Fitzpatrick. How long do you think it took the Steelers from the time that they got off the phone with the Dolphins to say, really? Really? Yes. Say yes. No, wait. Like pause for 5 minutes and then call back and say yes, so it doesn't look excessively eager. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We're going to do another one of these on Monday. Have a terrific bye weekend, everybody. Oh, and hey, be sure to check out our new Double Shot show. every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's got video. It's got everything. You're going to like it. Trust me. I feel like it's getting a little bit better every day. Kind of like, Patrick Queen or something.